And if you don't believe me, go ahead. Make a sculpture or a statue that you think's important for the city and donate it. Give it for free. Go down to New York City and place your statue on the sidewalk and see what happens. You'll see in 2 seconds that they'll take it off. They're not going to leave it there for the public. They don't want anything left there that they don't want. They'll place you in jail for it. And when I saw the symbolism of the Occupy Wall Street movement, I immediately knew the Illuminati was behind it. And in one of my older video series, I actually explained the significance of the ballet dancer and how it relates to the sacred bullfighter. And by the way, the artist of the bull on Wall Street, or the financial districts of the world, his name is Arturo. Arturo comes from the Taurus bull. And by the way, Arturo has the same meaning as the word Arthur, as in the round table of King Arthur and the sacred sword, which I'll be getting back to a little bit later. And when you look up the etymology of the word Arthur, you'll find that it says it means the bear king. Which is funny when you consider the fact that there is also a bear in the financial district of Germany. The old bear and bull markets, or the upward and downward market trends. The Hilton Millennium Hotel in New York City was actually built specifically to resemble the Kubrick monolith in 2001, A Space Odyssey, which has become a cult film about an obelisk that basically brings wisdom to mankind. And it's kind of strange because on 9/11, not only in 2001 did we see the monolith, but if you think about it, since 2001, this event has brought mass esoteric wisdom to mankind. So we know that the Illuminati is basically a barbarian Germanic order, and thus on 9/11 we saw another obelisk or black monolith in the Tower of Deutsche, the Deutsche Bank.
The director of the CIA headed a firm that bought some of these put stock options. Until 1998, Buzzy Krongard headed United Airlines stock. Mr. Krongard was head of Bankers Trust until he resigned and was promoted to CIA Executive Director by President Bush in March 2001. Buzzy Krongard purchased this stock, and our government did nothing about it. Deutsche Bank is also one of the 4 banks most used by the bin Laden family.
And Deutsche Bank is not ashamed at all to prove to you that they are one of the most powerful banks in the world. So Deutsche Bank was one of the scam artists in the 911 stock market scam. And of course their headquarters in Germany has the Twin Towers, exactly like the New York World Trade Center Twin Towers. And in 2001, A Space Odyssey, the black monolith or the tower, of course, showed lots of symbolism, like I said earlier, of the color of orange, which represents the House of Orange. So like I said earlier, that's exactly why you'll find the color of orange when you're talking about New York. And you see, this is exactly why after the attacks in 2001 at Ground Zero in New York City, they have the buildings draped in orange. So let's get back to the Dutch House of Orange and Wall Street or Wallstraat. You see, in its beginning, Wall Street was actually known as a place where you could rent and buy slaves. And in 1789, Wall Street was the very place where the first presidential inauguration was held with George Washington. You see, during this time, New York City was the center of the government. You see, on Wall Street, or the Dutch Street of Wallstraat, on a balcony is where George Washington took his oath of office. And this same exact location is the place where the Bill of Rights was passed. And if you've watched my videos in the past, you'll know that Bill actually means bull. Thus, the reason that the Bill of Rights is actually the Bull of Rights. Again, the connection with the bull and Wall Street. And like I've said, that's exactly why the Father Pope issues a papal bull. And that's why he holds the fertility of the bull. So now you know why George Washington is placing his hand upon the Bible. And by the way, did you notice that George Washington took his oath of office on April 30th, which is Beltane or Walpurgis Night? It is the night of the witches, which is an ancient fertility festival where the May Queen or the May Maiden mates with the Beltane bull god, or the ancient horned one, who of course is horny. So the ancient bull god, or the ancient horned god, known as Baal, was a symbol that represented both the light and the fertility of the annual year. So the elite are still practicing and worshiping the ancient cult of Baal or Baal, thus Beltane, an ancient sacrificial ritual of sexual fertility of the annual year. And did you notice the wall in Walpurgis Night? And these ancient fertility rituals date back thousands of years, from the whore of Babylon, the Phoenician whore, as well as the whore from Sumer, the whore of Ishtar, Shamat. The temple whore Shamat seduces the wild man, the wild beast, the horned one who is horny. She has sex with the figure or the horned one that represents nature, the new season of springtime. And you've seen it 1,000 times, as in the Beauty and the Beast, just like Peter Pan. Pan is the fertility goat-horned god. So think back to all of the Hollywood films you have watched with the Beauty and the Beast, or the whore who has sex with the wild man or the beast. The story has been told 1,000 different ways, but it all means the same exact thing. It's all about the whore and the beast, which represents the fertility of nature. So they worship the ancient fertility of the sun god, the seasons, and thus the reason the arms are open wide to receive God's light and energy. Thus you have the ritualistic sacrifice of the sun. Thus the reason they make sacrifices to the sun god. And then we have the Hollywood film called Where the Wild Things Are, which is really about worshiping the sacred sun. They are the wild beasts that represent the horned fertility of the horn god. The horny, horned beasts that are left alone with the little child pedophilia. And long ago, I actually made a film series about Where the Wild Things Are called Where the Evil Things Are. And of course, YouTube banned it, where I explain the whole ritual of the ancient fertility of Beltane, the fire of Baal, on the very eve of Baal, or May 1st, because at midnight on Beltane, it turns into the very next day, which is the Maypole Day, the fertility of the penis, May Day. And remember, the Bavarian Germanic Illuminati was formed on May 1st, May Day. And of course, May 1st is the day they announced that they killed bin Laden. So now that you realize the truth about where the wild things are and understand that it's a fertility ritual of the horned beast on Beltane or May Day, it should make you absolutely sick that our president was actually reading where the wild things are to our children. It's absolutely disgusting. And the rabbit hole goes deeper than you could ever imagine. You see, Obama is reading Where the Wild Things Are, which is a fertility ritual, during Easter at the White House. So you see, Easter is a fertility ritual, which is why it involves the little children, just like most holidays. You see, the Easter egg is a symbol of fertility. So you see, this is exactly why they use the bunny rabbit as the symbol of Easter, because Easter is all about fertility, thus the rabbit that rapidly produces offspring. So you see, this is exactly why the bunny rabbit is used by Playboy. It's used by Playboy as the symbol for their little whores who are fuck bunnies. You see, Easter falls in April, and April is the month of the Fool. And take a good look at the Fool character, or the Lord of Misrule. He is the fool for a day who thinks he's king, and that's the exact character that Max plays. And of course, in ancient times, the fool was used as the sacrificial offering. So now you know why Max is the climax, the bunny, or the fuck bunny. So now you understand why they show you the rabbit hole. And of course, he is the traveling fool.
You will be a truly great king. I'm Ira. I put the holes in the trees.
Did you hear what Ira said? He puts the holes in the trees. And I'll give you one guess how this big-nosed monster with horns, the horny one, puts holes in the trees. So now you understand how this whole movie is based upon the sun fertility of Beltane, and that's exactly why they're running around the maypole.
And we'll all sleep together in a real pot.
And we'll all sleep together in a real pot.
And after he says it, you'll notice how the horny monsters pounce on him. So it makes me sick that millions of parents and kids across the world actually think that this is a good movie, when actually it's absolutely disgusting. And did you notice the orange flowers? So now you understand why the Illuminati was formed on May 1st, or May Day, fertility day of the maypole, or the penis, which is exactly why we have the union of the male and the female, or the ancient horn god. So now when you watch Hollywood films like Rosemary's Baby, you'll understand why the female is mating with the horned beast. So perhaps now you'll understand why the May Queen, or the Queen of the Netherlands, has her birthday on April 30th, which is Beltane, the eve of May Day. So perhaps now you'll understand exactly why this pagan fertility day of Beltane, which is the eve of May 1st, or the day the Illuminati was formed, you'll understand now the beast who mates with the female is exactly why we had the royal wedding held on the eve of May Day, Beltane. And of course the ceremony reflected the 911 symbolism, which is exactly why it was held on the 11th year during the 11th hour. You see, Beltane sits on the complete polar opposite side of the wheel as Samhain, or Samhain, which we know as Halloween, All Hallows Eve, which is the Celtic pagan fertility of the new year. You see, Halloween is actually the celebration of the eve of the 11th month. And of course, Halloween is the time of the orange. You see, it's the time of the even, or the 11, because this is the time of parallel, or equal. This is the time of November, and November is the 11th month, but actually Nova means 9. 9/11.